These are my audiences. Hello, my name is Julia, and my presentation is about behavior management for those with anxiety disorders. So the statistics on anxiety disorders is that it affects approximately 40 million in the US. 18% are diagnosed, while 86% do not seek treatment. That's more than half. 8% of children experience anxiety while they are at school or at home. And for us ladies, 60% are more likely to be diagnosed than men. So for the economic burden, it is a total of 148 billion for the mental health bill. These include all of the disorders of mental illness. For anxiety alone, the cost is 42 billion a year. That's about a third of the bill. And more than 22.84 billion are repeated use of healthcare services. These also include those who have mimic symptoms of anxiety, so they may not be diagnosed with anxiety, but if they have symptoms such as palpitations or panic attacks or fear of worry, then they're included in 22.84 billion. So the different types of anxiety, I'll also include here of the amount of people who are affected by it. Generalized anxiety is 6.8 million. Obsessive compulsive is 2.2 million. Post-traumatic stress disorder is 7.7 million. Social anxiety is 15 million, and specific phobia is 19 million. And I will go over these, what the different types of anxiety is in my speech. Anxiety is the number one cause of, or the number one mental illness in the US. So what is mental illness? Mental illness is the result of emotional trauma, head injury, or exposure to certain chemicals such as marijuana, viruses, or environmental chemicals. Included in this is also genetics, so it could be your parents, your uncle, it runs in the family, and also environmental factors affect this. So if you are in a place where there's a lot of construction or there's a lot of lead poisoning, that could also affect to cognitive behaviors and mental illness. So what are the symptoms? The symptoms are, it disrupts the patient's thinking, feeling, mood, ability to relate to others. And mostly, mental illness is a deviant, dysfunctional pattern of thought that interfere with activities of daily living. So when we say it's dysfunctional, that means that they can't work because of their mental illness, or they have too much worry to go out in the world, that they get paranoid, they can't take the bus, or they are not equipped to live in the daily world because there's too much stress on them. So working in the medical field, I've been in the medical field for about 4 or more years now, and I work with mental health clients. These clients, most of them have anxiety disorders, some schizophrenia, some bipolar. But what I've observed over the years is that these clients can be helped with the proper training of staff, and ways that us staff can help them are to calmly ask the resident how you can help, to listen to them, to try to attempt to solve what is upsetting them. So what is the trigger? Like, is it too much stimuli? So is there too much going on at one time? Would they rather be alone? Try to find out the cause of the agitation, offer encouragement and understanding, and if you need help, ask someone to help you. If you ever feel threatened, or if the resident is threatening other residents, don't hesitate to call 911, and always inform your administrator, because she can also collaborate with other team members, such as the crisis line, and they can help us de-escalate the situation. So the types of anxiety that I mentioned earlier are panic disorder, phobias, generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, and obsessive compulsive disorder. So before, obsessive compulsive was part of the just anxiety in general. Now it's so many people are affected by it that it's its own category. So panic disorders are characterized by panic attacks. These are often mistaken for a heart attack. And phobias are fear. It's kind of like an irrational fear to a certain object or situation. So let's say someone drowned previously. Whenever they're near a body of water, instead of going towards the body of water because of their fear, they'll stay away from it. So this can affect their social life, because like if your family has a swimming party, or if there's any object that is near the person, they will tend to avoid it, and that causes their activities of daily living. There's also a generalized anxiety disorder, and this is exaggerated worrying about life, everyday life. And the thing with generalized anxiety is they don't even know what triggers it, they don't know what causes it, so they can't even control their behaviors. And it's difficult for them to focus or do daily tasks. Social anxiety disorder causes fear, often driven by irrational worries or about social humiliation. So let's say they're afraid to make the wrong statement, they're afraid to give a speech because they might say something wrong, they're afraid to make any comment because they're fear of being socially humiliated. Obsessive compulsive is repetitive, unwanted, intrusive thoughts, and these are irrational, and these causes urges to do certain actions. So it's a thought that becomes an obsession, and an action becomes a compulsion. So it's like, I need to check the stove every 20 seconds, otherwise my house is going to burn down. So that thought of my house is going to burn down causes them to go check the stove every 20 minutes, even though it's not rational. So some examples are anxiety is observed like someone drowned in the pool, like I mentioned earlier. Another example of OCD is someone who's continually scrubbing their hands until it bleeds, someone who's counting the steps, and this is all due to feeling of lack of control. General anxiety, makes you tense and apprehensive, and this usually lasts for about 6 months. So if the person is experiencing the same symptoms for 6 months, that's when usually doctors diagnose it as general anxiety disorder. Panic disorders are episodes that they're brief and they're persistent, and it's part of the normal fight or flight response. They have shortness of breath, they have chest pains, they feel like they're having a heart attack, and they even feel like they're dying. And for us, we might just not consider it or not pay attention, but to them it's very real. And phobias are fear of objects or situations that trigger anxiety. And going back to the panic disorders, they can't control it, and it's like I've heard from some of my friends that it's like they want to jump out of their body and they just want to run, and they don't know where they're going, but they don't want to be stuck in that situation. Okay. So to our main topic, let's discuss about behavior management. So behaviors are an unmet need, and this is also a means of communication. It is used to avoid or get something. It is not necessarily a behavior to annoy other people, but it is more a controlled behavior for themselves. Because they cannot control their own behavior, they try to control other people. And now we have discussed behavior management. Let's discuss some interventions. So the interventions that are useful are psychotherapy. This includes of cognitive and behavioral therapy. It's a part of the mental health treatment, so every patient is different, and we have a care plan designed for each resident. Medications, these include anti-anxiety and antidepressants. Complementary health approaches, so like stress relaxation techniques such as yoga and exercise. These have been proven to be helpful for anxiety disorders. Do you know of any other interventions that have helped you? Like aromatherapy, eating. Eating is also a behavior as well. So the conclusion is, what I want to bring out of this topic is that anxiety disorders are a serious condition and thus affects 40 million adults in the US. It is a medical condition that disrupts a person's thinking, feeling, mood, and ability to relate to others and daily functioning. Behavior is communication, and it is behavioral interventions. Behavior is a communication, and behavioral interventions do not seek to control others, but to exert more effort into their own behavior. And if someone is experiencing anxiety, they should seek help for symptoms because these do affect their daily functioning, and it is a serious condition that should get help right away. Do you have any questions about anxiety?
Maybe we can have a copy of this topic so we can learn more about the mental illness in America.
Yes. Do you have any questions?
My question is the
Can
cause.
help you.
Yeah.
The cause?
The cause.
So most causes are related to the genetics is one, also the medications, also the environment. So environment such as stress, if you feel tense. It could also be something that you have extreme worry about, like if someone has a post-traumatic stress disorder. So let's say in the past they were in a house fire and that caused them extreme anxiety or extreme worry, and they didn't know if they were able to escape. So whenever they try to avoid that fear, so like for obsessive compulsive, they try to check the stove. For anxiety, they just try to avoid being in the situation. So it's something that they try to avoid. They can't necessarily control it, but most of it is just fear of losing control, and nobody wants to lose control, so they end up having anxiety. And even people actually get anxiety because of their anxiety. So like for people with panic attacks, they think, oh no, I feel like I'm getting another panic attack. They can feel their heart racing and they have shortness of breath, so they'll try to avoid or they'll try to worry about having another panic attack. Other questions?
Yeah, where do you get your statistics from?
Yes, so I get my statistics from the NAMI, N-A-M-I. That's the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and they are the ones who also support those who have mental illnesses, and that is where I gathered most of my information from. This information was dated March 2016, and upon further research, it has increased to 50 billion, so even more of those are affected with anxiety.
Okay.
So that's it.